We are wrestling. We are wrestling podcast.
They give a shout out to We Are Wrestling on YouTube.
You're watching We Are Wrestling.
I'm the host with the most.
You are by far the least intelligent.
What's going on, everybody? Danny Huckins here, man. 1/3 of We Are Wrestling.
What's going on? We are Wrestling Maniacs Worldwide. Ben here, the third of the talk show.
We Are Wrestling Podcast.
Make sure to subscribe, baby.
We are wrestling.
What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Dottie, here with.
What is going on? We are Wrestling Maniacs. Ben here, the second of the podcast today. This is very strange, not being like right up next to a mic and having like more free reign. It's a little weird. Being a little bit more loosey-goosey, but we have a very great episode for you guys put together today. But before we get into all that nonsense, Don, take it away.
Well, if you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications, videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course, you already know, the grind is real. And if you're listening to the podcast, we recommend you guys to give us a 5-star review, and of course, follow us if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We have audio episodes now available on those platforms, or if you're watching us, then subscribe to the channel. So weird adjusting to both the audio listeners and the actual viewers.
So it's funny that that you're addressing the audio aspect and the visuals. So I was actually listening to our podcast on Spotify, and it's honestly kind of dope. I'm not gonna lie. It's like weird hearing it and like not seeing it and like just listening to it. I'm like, dude, this is actually kind of solid. Like, you don't think about how good like the audio quality really is until it's just audio. And honestly, I can still fucking get behind it. Like, I can still really get behind it. It's really cool.
I really enjoy it too, because I do a lot of long traveling with, going to meet and greets and going to independent wrestling shows.
And sometimes you don't feel like music, man.
I'm able to, listen to the We Are Wrestling podcast now on Spotify, which is awesome.
It's just like I said, it's so peculiar because, it's weird because when me and Dan started podcasting back, I think in like fucking 2017, it was already strictly audio, and we were sharing one mic, so it was kind of like, in and out, but it was still pretty decent. And then we both got our own individual mics and still did it audio, and then we obviously, we discovered Zencaster, and then that's kind of where it changed. But like going back now with like, the share mics and everything, it's so peculiar, man, but it's really, really cool, like hearing it on like a legitimate podcast, like old school podcast feel. So so I'm really, really stoked about it.
Yeah, so before we dive into this week's, topics for We Are Wrestling 59, what's your highlight of the week? Because, of course, we're coming off 2 big events here. We had WWE United Champions.
Bro.
We also had AEW Double or Nothing. And I forgot, we even had NXT Battleground as well, which I'm sure Danny probably watched.
So I think without even saying, where I'm going to go with this, my favorite highlight of the week, and I can't even really say it was a moment because the whole fucking thing was just one big moment that's been stewing for a while. Obviously the Jimmy Uso super kick. I was really, really excited about it. That was the one time, and I think we're on a redemption arc of Jimmy Uso because Jimmy was better than Jay that night, and the way that it played out was really fucking great. I think Jimmy really sold the break. I think he really like, especially like with what he was like yelling at Jay as the whole thing right after he kicked Roman the first time, and Jay was like, you know, what you doing? Why'd you do that, man? And like he was just like, fucking listen to me. He's like, he is not your brother. I am. He's like, I got you. Pushed him and then fucking kicked his ass right out the fucking ring. I'm like, like, don't, don't fucking do this to me right
You know
now.
what I'll tell you that I really like about that whole Jimmy arc? Because
What's up?
normally when factions, end, there's always somebody that's better than the other person. And I think that's where, this We Are Wrestling meme came out, that Jay is better than Jimmy because, Jimmy was on the sideline while Jay, got to do that main event Oos thing in 2020, had that feud with Roman Reigns that was,
Do
started the whole
not
bloodline.
don't get me started with fucking main event Uso, man. Like I'm still a firm believer of main event Uso, so
Oh, but hear
don't.
me out now. But this is the part that I like about Jimmy Uso being, doing this because it gives him something. Like one of my biggest fears back in the mid 2010s was when the Shield broke up because I knew Roman Reigns was going to be that guy that WWE was going to push.
Mhm.
Obviously, Dean Ambrose, he had he had big potential there, which now we're starting to see at AEW with John Moxley. And I was always worried about what is WWE going to do with Seth freaking Rollins. And then, they made that decision to have him, hit the chair on Roman Reigns and
Excuse
then
me.
be a part of the Authority, won the Money in the Bank, went on to win the WWE Championship at 31. And all three members of the Shield have had Hall of Fame pro wrestling careers. So for me, having Jimmy, hit the chair, like do the super kick to Roman, it kind of gives him his own personality. He's not known as just Jay's brother.
So I'm gonna give you a little bit of backstory. So when the Usos came back, after their hiatus for a while, and like they cut their fucking hair, and Jimmy was still in like really good shape. Um, I was actually more of a Jimmy fan. Like I was actually more on like the like I was into Jimmy because he felt like he was leading it at that time because like he was kind of like the face of the Usos for like a majority of their run. So when he got injured and Jay really got to shine as a singles kind of competitor, and then the feud that he was given, this dude was just a really renowned tag team at one point. The whole fucking bloodline family shit wasn't even really like intertwined or mentioned at this point. But with Jay Uso going solo, it really made him shine as like the favorite because he's got like his mic skills are subpar for being blunt, but he makes it work and he has charisma
He
and he's
has improved, I
obviously
think, a lot on the
ex-
mic.
exactly. So it's like, yeah, is it articulate? Not really, but he sells it. He makes his point known. He can fucking convince a crowd even with it. But he again, it just showed how great he really is on his own. And I think that is why this story is so compelling because realistically, I was scared for Jimmy because he really started building just a really he was going a Jeff Hardy route for a while and I think he's really kind of dialed it in a little bit and I feel like that's a little why
He has been staying out of trouble now. I think it's been
yeah.
over a year now.
So, I was getting a little worried, but with the Bloodline story, obviously it rejuvenates careers, I've noticed. So, this was his moment. And I think having him do it rather than Jay and having Jay dial it back a little bit and be, kind of swapping roles right now was a very good way to kind of not only rejuvenate each career, but it really puts the Usos back on the map in a different level going towards a face turn. And it really just gave him his moment that he's needed to really kind of stand out again. So I don't really hate to say it because I obviously growth, we love to see it but I'm starting to slowly wipe the Jay is better than Jimmy slate away. It's starting to
Me
become an
too.
even playing ground. The playing field's equalized now. So it's like if we can keep up this momentum with Jimmy and if we can put him in the spotlight of the story right now with what he's done, we got something. We got something.
And that's the thing, like, I'm not complaining whatsoever about the decision here because in a faction, I want to see everybody succeed. And Jay has already had so many moments in the faction. Jimmy has
Solos,
always
enforcer.
Jimmy has always just been like on the outside, and he
Yeah,
hasn't
man.
really done anything that made us go, "Oh my god." but he
Not in a
finally
while.
had that oh my god moment when he super kicked Roman at Night of Champions.
That crowd fucking erupted, bro. And mind you, that's a Saudi show. So if the crowd is that fucking wild for it, dude, yeah. Yeah. Like, and dude, that crowd popped off. And just
I'm
again,
sorry I said this about Backlash, and I'm going to say it again with Night of Champions. We in the United States do not deserve premier live events.
with
I
how our
repeat,
crowds are, yeah.
we do not
No.
deserve to have premier live events.
No, leave it to fucking Puerto Rico and Saudi at this point because they have like the
Hey,
best crowds.
we're going to the UK in July for Money in the Bank, and they're about to be more lit. And then SummerSlam's not going to be as lit as the other three when it comes to the crowd.
I don't know. Detroit's got some pretty fucking good crowds. I'm not gonna lie. Like some of their events, man, are pretty wild. So if the
Let's
crowds
hope.
are as promising there, dude, let's hope because SummerSlam again is one of the big five. So like,
But
I'm
nothing
up for a
beats,
good
but
one.
nothing beats like an international crowd, in my opinion, only because they appreciate the opportunity more. They're more grateful that WWE is coming out to them. Because I feel like in the US, a lot of, the shows that they're going to, like we have shows coming to us at least in our area, maybe like 4 or 5 of them a year.
Yeah, something like that. I would
With
say
like
that.
house shows and like the pay-per-views or like the regular Raw or SmackDowns, like they come around at least 4 to 5 times a year in our area.
Oh,
But in like the UK or like Saudi or like Puerto Rico, they only come maybe like once or like twice a year, maybe.
like every half a decade, maybe if you're lucky.
Mhm.
I still stand by it. I feel like SummerSlam should be held in tropical areas like all the time. Like I feel like SummerSlam in
agree.
Puerto Rico would be fucking ridiculous. I feel like SummerSlam in the Bahamas would be fucking ridiculous if they had a venue
The
big enough.
Bahamas.
If they have it
Man,
big
we
enough,
need to take a trip, you and me. Leave
dude.
Danny at home.
We're
We're going to the Bahamas for SummerSlam.
It's because Danny would be fucking weird about it, and like obviously we can party. So,
Well, while we're partying, Danny's gonna be outside with like a Sharpie and like a book. Can you sign my thing, Bronson Reed?
I'm sorry, but like Danny by default is not going just for the simple fact that we would definitely find him if he would try to have the time of his life, and God bless his soul, I'd want him to, but we would find him passed out face down in the beach with his ass out.
All right, so with my highlight of the week,
what's your highlight?
obviously it had to be Jimmy, but I'm gonna pick a different one, and I'm gonna take something from AEW Double or Nothing.
Okay, let's even
Overall, it wasn't the best pay-per-view, but towards the end, it really picked up the momentum.
Got juicy.
And I gotta say, I really enjoyed the Anarchy in the Arena match for the main event of the show.
MJF?
Nope. So the Anarchy in the Arena match, this is a match where they just do whatever. It's pretty much like a shit show. And like Justin Roberts goes on the mic and he says, "This next match is Anarchy in the Arena. Shit is about to hit the fan." And it was the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club. And like they went all over the friggin' arena, beating the shit out of each other. And like it was violence at its finest. And I gotta say, such a great match. And then at the end,
okay,
with Don Callis, he came out, screwed Kenny again because they had that relationship. And Takeshita actually now is aligned with Don Callis. And on Dynamite, oh my God, the heat was friggin' on fire. Like it was nuclear heat on TV. Like the only person I feel like that's getting nuclear heat right now in pro wrestling is Dominic Mysterio. And this crowd, Ben, last night on Dynamite, were giving it to Don Callis and Takeshita. Like every time Don would talk, like they'd be like, "Shut the fuck up," nonstop throughout the entire promo. Didn't even let the guy talk.
That's fucking wild, bro.
But here's why I love this so much. Because I knew with the first Anarchy in the Arena match that happened last year, Jim Cornette went in on the entire, match because it's, Spot Fest, there's extreme wrestling involved, the death match stuff. And when I was watching this match, me and Danny are sitting there, we're like, ooh. And I was just thinking the whole time, oh my God, what is Jim Cornette going to say about this? And I'm going to play the audio real quick for the We Are Wrestling Maniacs to hear. This is the first 25 seconds of the intro to his thoughts on this match.
Time for Anarchy in the Arena. otherwise known as assholes in the asylum. Twinkle Toes, the Buckaroos, and Hangnail Page against Plumber Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler Useless, and poor Bryan Danielson. Once the greatest wrestler in the world, now forced to hold the chicken while the geek bites its head off in the county fair. And there's nothing worse than being a geek except being the fucking holder for the geek. Can you imagine how low that is to have to hold the chicken while the other guy has the high-paying job of biting its head off?
Yeah, and the thumbnail looks pretty hilarious, too, to the thing.
Wow.
But I knew, like, Jim Cornette was going to go in, and it was just straight comical. But I enjoyed the match. It was a fun one, I thought.
Wow. Yeah, man. So it sounds like I have to see this match and see what everybody's talking about, because that's two completely different sides.
Yeah, it was
two
nuts.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll definitely have to peep what you're spitting on.
They had
man.
one spot where Matt Jackson, he super kicked somebody and like the shoe exploded in the guy's face.
Nice. That's actually kind of creative.
It was pretty cool. But now let's dive into the topics for We Are Wrestling 59.
Let's do it.
And the last time you and I were on the We Are Wrestling podcast, I ended up hitting you with something that I thought you knew, but you didn't know. And that was, you know, our buddy, my cousin, my brother, Joey, is going to be a dad. And you were very surprised at the end of it. And speaking of being a dad, well, there's a lot of baby fever going on in pro wrestling.
It's fucking mating season for pro wrestling, apparently, dude. Like everybody, like you were mentioning before we hit record, that everybody's having a fucking baby. Apparently, like I knew about Carmella. I slightly scrolled and just kind of. I think I was like just waking up to get ready for work, and I like, if anybody knows, I work overnights, so I'm like half-assed awake, and I'm scrolling, and I see that Alexa Bliss is now fucking pregnant, and I'm like, the fuck is going on? And then you mentioned fucking Sammy Guevara and fucking Tay Conti, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like... so a few months ago, Carmella and Corey Graves, they came out, they announced that they're having a baby, and this past Sunday at Double or Nothing, Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello shared that they're having a baby. So what they did was, when Sammy Guevara came out for, his match with the Four Pillars, which we're going to dive into the Four Pillar stuff later on in the show, Sammy Guevara did this like time card type of thing, like where he has like pretty much like a board, like he pretty much has like these like paper boards, and like he like during the pandemic, like during like the play-by-play, he would sit there with these like cardboards and like it would have like sayings on them. So he did something like that with Ty, and then they like showed that they like were having a baby together, like they showed like the pictures and stuff. Cool way to announce it. And then earlier this week, we saw that Alexa Bliss and her husband, Ryan, they announced that they're having a baby as well.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about all the baby season going on in the wrestling world?
Well, we're going to be down some pretty big stars for a while. It's gonna get pretty repetitive around here, but I mean, cool for being down to start new life and all that. And obviously, these guys are really well taken care of, and they're it's in the air apparently. Love be in the air. It's just kind of crazy that it's very close together. Yeah. I don't really know.
You know what I feel like in pro wrestling? I feel like everything is a domino effect. So like when somebody gets injured, there's more than one person
else gets injured.
When it comes to having babies, it's more than one person having a baby. It's always just a domino effect in wrestling. Like we always see like new champions, it's always a domino effect.
Oh, somebody over here got busted. Oh yeah, somebody over here just got busted for the same fucking thing, man.
Always,
it's nuts, man. It's just one of those things, and apparently this time of year it's mating season in pro wrestling.
Yeah, so apparently with Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello, when I went to Northeast Wrestling, this was during March, I believe, after the big event in New York, because I
Yeah.
went from Queens, New York, all the way to Waterbury, Connecticut to meet Sammy and Ty, get my figure signed from them. And Ty actually wrestled pregnant during that match.
Oh shit! This is before she found out or after?
This is, I believe, before she found out.
Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense because she wouldn't be medically cleared to if that were the case. But yeah, um, nuts. It's wild, like trauma on the body is very difficult, is very high, and it's especially like to get on a serious note, like that's a very high risk for miscarriage because that's trauma on the body.
Yeah. There's a
So
lot of
the fact
wrestlers that
that
a lot of female wrestlers end up wrestling while they're pregnant in like the early stages. And then when they find out, that's when they have to obviously, be on the sideline.
yeah, Awesome Kong, she was a prime example. Like,
Karma.
yeah, she was Karma at the time, but she's Awesome Kong now, right? Or
Yeah,
what
she's
would
always, I feel like she's always been Awesome Kong, except for her short stint in the WWE.
Yeah, because I saw her. I discovered her in TNA.
Me too.
So yeah, so
When she had that
knew who she
freaking
was.
Godzilla music. Da-na-na-na.
Dude. Say what you want, man, but I actually really
No, I
digged her
loved
work.
Awesome Kong. I loved her.
Yeah, I digged her work. I feel like she was a more successful Nia Jax. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like she was definitely like the female brute, that was built like one. Where now it's definitely Rhea Ripley. Right
And I
now,
feel like she like really like paved like the way for women's wrestling, this whole
especially
revolution thing,
bigger
because she
women too.
stood out.
And she was a bigger woman that could fucking not only move, but she could perform those strong woman fucking stunts. So it's like, I'm here for it,
And
Like, I was a really
people,
big fan.
and that's the thing, like people were entertained with her work. Like she didn't have to go out and be in like pillow fights and bra and panty matches. Like
didn't
she
fit
was
the
able to
stature.
like show off what she could do in the ring, and like that really opened the door for a lot of women
Dude,
wrestlers.
I feel like she was in the wrong time because I feel like now she would have thrived in WWE. She would have been
Oh my
totally
God.
great.
She would have been a main eventer, I think.
She was definitely before her time. I feel like in that time era where she was in WWE was around the time I think they were starting the transition into the PG era. So I feel like it wouldn't have worked out well. But now that we're starting to shift gears again, a little bit more of like an adult route, I feel like it could work. I feel like she would do really well nowadays, and I feel like she would have been a Vince fucking like gold mine, as well because he loves bigger talent that can do massive shit. She would be getting a more successful Omos push, and the crowd would buy it.
Well, the reason why the crowd would buy it is because a lot of, women wrestlers, we haven't had like a bigger woman wrestler that like, has been bigger than life. And Awesome Kong could have been one of those, bigger than life characters that Vince McMahon could have had
And
pop up on her screen, because that's one thing you got to give Vince McMahon credit for when it comes to, big men and like giants. He gets them over and he makes them feel like they're larger than life.
yeah, man, and like I have to say, it's
Except for fucking Omos.
I can't really say it's a shame because, obviously, some women really do want to be pregnant. They want to have children. And it's unfortunate that it happened at the time it did because she was mid push. She was getting that push, and that halted it because she was gonna. I forgot who she was having a face off or a rivalry with at the time of feud. But
I think
she had
Michelle McCool and Layla,
maybe
I think.
because I think because they were the heels at that point.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was like, yeah, if I wasn't pregnant, we would be having the match, but she had to, kind of publicly,
Yeah.
decline. And that was a big moment. And then she just never came back. It's unfortunate. I think she made like a one-off Rumble appearance, maybe.
Appearance, yeah.
And that was it, and I was just like, damn, because I was invested, so, yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm like, it could make or break because some women decide when they get pregnant in the business that they don't feel like returning because they just enjoy motherhood. So it's one of those gambles as well.
I think a lot of these women wrestlers are, taking this transition because of one woman wrestler, and I think that's Becky Lynch. She went on, took a break. Her and Seth Rollins had a baby, And Becky Lynch is still back to doing what she loves, still bigger than life. She was able to get a break from the road. And let's be real, we're looking at these 3 female names. Carmella, who's not being utilized really right now properly. Ty Mello, AEW has no idea what to do with her, and she's been like waiting for an opportunity for, a while. And Alexa Bliss, friggin' they have had nothing for her. And nothing that's been really good. I've enjoyed the Golden Goddess stuff, but the whole freaking Lily bullshit.
See, what Alexa Bliss needs is a new gimmick. She needs to remain a heel, 100%. I feel like heel Alexa Bliss would be great with the right gimmick. You can leave the dark shit out of it. If you gave me a more like gritty, rougher Alexa Bliss, that's rougher around the sides.
Mm-hmm. Just no more freaking on a swing and no more freaking her talking to her doll, Lily. None of that crap.
No,
anymore.
of course. Like I'm good with that, but give me a good heel Alexa Bliss and
I'm okay with that. I've seen so much potential with her. That's why it frustrates me.
I'm just over Alexa Bliss. I don't see the appeal like most people do. I'm not saying she's not talented because she definitely fucking is. I enjoy her in ring. I'm just not sold on her as a character, and that's just me. But I do acknowledge her talent. It's not like a fucking Sasha Banks thing. It's not where I just absolutely despise the human being. But I genuinely do enjoy her. So.
And that's the thing, like, I feel like all 3 of these women haven't really had opportunities, and, like, their timing right now it's not now. So why not, do something, like, take the next step in, their lives. Like, they all, want to be mothers. And honestly, like, if there's a time to do it, I'd say now. And then,
really right time.
9 months from now, there could be more opportunities open for them, when they decide to get back in the ring.
Yeah. No, 100%, man.
And, We Are Wrestling. We want to congratulate Carmella and Corey Graves. We want to congratulate Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello. And we also want to congratulate Alexa Bliss and, Ryan on, being parents.
Yeah, man. It's, you'd really have to be one to really get it. But there really isn't anything better than, being a parent. So it's really, it's super solid.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, moving on now to our next topic on the podcast. According to Dave Meltzer, WWE is interested in bringing in 2 top free agents right now, former MLW star Richard Holiday, who we got to see at Northeast Wrestling against Karrion Kross last year, and former New Japan Pro Wrestling star Tama Tonga. So what are your thoughts on WWE being interested in bringing in these 2 top free agents?
So from what I recall, when we got to see Karrion Kross versus Richard Holiday at Northeast, I enjoyed his in-ring. That was obviously my first exposure to who he is in general. But the fact that WWE is interested in him is a big deal. That's a game changer. For his career specifically. And like I said, I enjoyed the match 100%. He has some pretty decent spots. I think that's solid. I think it's, again, I feel like it's another indie star that's really getting his moment, that worked really hard for it. He obviously has some old colleagues in the company as well. So I think that'd be kind of cool to rehash in the future down the road. Yeah, it's great.
And I know in these reports, WWE was very interested in Richard Holiday, not only because he's talented, but also because of, the story of him, battling cancer, beating it, and now, coming back to the indie circuit and, get back to what he's doing, what he loves doing.
That's always the best glow up, man, is somebody that can fight back and bounce back from something like that, and be able to return to something that's a very hands-on, rough, fucking callous sport. And that's incredible. There's no glow up like that.
So my thoughts on Richard Holiday, WWE being interested in him, because Tama, I can't really comment on, and I know you can't either really, because we both don't really watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, so it wouldn't be fair for us to give our input on that. I know Danny's a little bit more familiar with him. We'll have to, get his opinion at another time. But with Richard Holiday, he's somebody I am very familiar with because I got to watch him, in the independents, doing what he loves. And I got to say, if there's somebody that's going to fit in WWE, because I feel like us in, the pro wrestling community, we always say, oh, this guy's not going to make it in WWE. He doesn't fit the mold. Oh, he would be way better off in AEW. And I'll admit, I'm one of those people where I think somebody will be better off in Impact or something rather than WWE. But with Richard Holiday, I think he's a perfect fit for WWE. If you watch, his in-ring style, which, you got to see him wrestle at Northeast Wrestling, he works a slow pace in the ring, which is what WWE is looking for. Richard Holiday focuses more on the storytelling side of things when it comes to pro wrestling, and he will do the spots when it's necessary, when it matters. And he has the look. I've seen him, do different things in, his wrestling career. He can adapt, he can change. And that's a big thing in WWE. If you can't adapt or change your character through times, you're not going to make it. You're going to have, one solid push for a couple weeks, and then you're going to be wrestling on superstars. And I think Richard Holiday, he has the right mindset for pro wrestling. And I remember I had the opportunity to meet him back in January 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And this is around the time where he was doing the whole AirPod God thing. And he would have his AirPods in. And when I met him, besides MJF, he stayed in character the entire time. Didn't acknowledge me. Took my money, signed my 8x10, took a photo, didn't even look at the camera, looking on his phone. Okay. And I always love that, man, when somebody stays in character when, you meet them.
Hell fucking yeah, dude.
And that's how you know he's got the right mindset for this business.
Yeah, dude, it adds to the experience. And MJF is literally the golden god when it comes to fucking kayfabe. He's he doesn't break at all.
And that's the thing about Richard Holiday. After, seeing him on the independent circuit, from 2016 to, now, I've, watched some of his stuff in MLW. I'll go on YouTube here and there. I'll see what he's doing. Some of the cool, promos and vignettes that he does. I've really enjoyed his work with MJF and Alex Hammerstone with the Dynasty. They were, a very entertaining group. And Richard Holiday, I think he just fits the mold better in WWE than all these other promotions. So I'm very happy to see WWE's interested in him.
And that's big, man, because, WWE not only is amidst a non-hiring clause at the moment, but the fact that they're interested in him this early on, granted his story, but he's not being eyed by Impact. I don't know if AEW's talked to him, but the fact that WWE, right off the bat is yeah, this guy is great, because that's that has been the staple of the place to be because of how obviously prestigious WWE is. It's a fucking worldwide known fucking company. And it's super local, which is weird as fuck, but it's a very worldwide known company. So to have your name marqueed in the sport that you've loved and bleed and literally bled for and to come back for, that is something I respect more than anything. And so for WWE to immediately be on this guy, and we just got to see him for dumb cheap at a fucking indie show, is amazing. And I think that's a once in a lifetime opportunity for a lot of these, free agents and these indie stars.
And that's the thing about Richard Holiday that, makes him an interesting free agent. Because I know AEW, I know Impact Wrestling, I know all of these promotions are very interested in him because he's worked with a lot of guys that are signed with these promotions. He worked closely with MJF. MJF has praised him. I know in NXT, Carmelo Hayes, right now the NXT champion, he was Christian Casanova in Northeast Wrestling. He did a lot of work with Richard Holiday as well. And I think, with Richard Holiday, the sky is the limit, and I really think that he's the type of person that's going to be able to adjust. And I don't see him or Tama going to the main roster right away.
No,
They're going to
NXT.
go to NXT. And the thing that I really like about NXT, as much as, the whole black and gold thing was special for its time, it's back to being a developmental promotion. And this is how WWE creates the next big stars.
Listen, man. You have to be somebody on the likes of Kenny Omega to immediately go to WWE and hit the main roster.
Like AJ
You have
Styles. He went
you
right to the
have
main
to
roster.
be. You have to be. You have to be well fucking known to jump ship where you're at and then go to WWE and hits Raw or SmackDown. Like, you have to have that. Everybody's gonna know who the fuck you are. Pump. Like,
You know what? I
pop.
got a question
And
for you, Ben.
AJ was great. What's up?
Since Danny's not here to interrupt me, I need to know. Do you think if WWE signed Jay White, they would have had him right on the main roster, or would they have him start off in NXT?
You want my honest opinion?
Yes.
I could see him showing up on fucking Friday Night SmackDown at any point. If he was a free agent and was interested,
Come on.
I could see him popping up on Raw or SmackDown at any point. He is, when you are known by your nickname by crowds of people, like big fucking crowds and not just indie shows. Yeah, I could see you showing up on a fucking main roster. However, I can also see the appeal of putting him on NXT because not only will it mold him into a WWE star, it would also help him, who is a renowned talent, put over other stars. So I kind of put him in, not really, I put him in kind of like the same neck and neck as like Will Ospreay, where people just know who the fuck he is just right off the bat.
Well, that's fair.
So Will Ospreay, I could see again popping up on Raw or SmackDown at any point if he was a free agent. He's in that neck where it's like people know who the fuck he is. It's like, oh shit, he's fucking here. Like if Jay White showed up at the Royal Rumble, the pop would be pretty fucking big. I'm not gonna lie, it would be pretty boom.
You know what? That is fair. I
So,
respect that opinion.
You know, it
I
really
respect that.
relies on the pop, you know? Like, it just, if he showed up on SmackDown or Raw and the pop was there, I could see him them being like, all right, he's a main roster guy. And the best part to do that is the Royal Rumble, which is so
It's
beautiful
the Rumble.
about it.
That's the
It's
only way
best,
I see it working.
That is the fucking capital center of where debuts should be made. So I feel like a Royal Rumble pop would really signify where he's going. So if he were to show up at the Royal Rumble and got a good pop, I could see Raw or SmackDown. But if it was like a decent pop and he was addressed as Switchblade Jay White, and people are like, "Oh shit, that sounds familiar," and like looked, "Oh, he's from fucking New Japan," then I could be like, "All right, NXT, 100%." But he's renowned enough to put over other people already, but is also able to mold into a WWE persona.
Okay, no, I think you definitely said it the best way possible. But I do think, like, realistically, Richard Holiday, like, he'll go to NXT probably because
for sure.
I know he's definitely going to want to get his, feet, wet first. He's going to want to, see how things go. And then I think, he's the type of person that's definitely going to, adjust well to WWE with the style.
So I'm going to, 100% say that if and when he goes to WWE and obviously ends up in NXT, where that just seems like the best place for him, I could see him having a feud with Corbin. By the way, it's great. It is good to see him on NXT. I feel like he'll get the TV time he needs, and he'll be able to mold back into a good version of him. And he's another one of those guys that is really safe, really professional, can pull off a lot in the ring, and I feel like he'd have a lot to offer in that perspective, especially since I can see Richard Holiday being face at start.
I love the whole free agency thing. Like seeing Mustafa Ali and Corbin on NXT right now.
It's
great
cool.
move.
It's fucking cool, man. And I think that it's a really cool concept to have, and I think it's helped them sufficiently. Like, Ali got a pretty big fucking pop, dude, at NXT. I saw that footage, Corbin looks fucking great. He's like almost 30 pounds down. He's shredding back up again. So, like, that's really fucking cool. I think it's really great. I see a Lone Wolf return in the mids for whatever reason, but I do see that happening again soon. I think he's just getting into the shape to do so. But I am really pumped about the whole free agency thing. and I think it's a really good move on WWE's
Yeah.
part.
But alrighty, guys, we'll be right back with more We Are Wrestling 59. Saturday, June 17th, 2023, both Captain's Corner and Zombie Hideout are bringing professional wrestling back to the New England area with the Wrestling Classic 3, which will be a wrestling convention bringing in some of the best wrestlers throughout the years at this event in Springfield, Mass, at the South End Community Center. You can meet Hall of Famers Kurt Angle, Lex Luger, DDP, AEW stars, The Guns, and so many more classic stars to be announced on Saturday, June 17th. And for the first time ever, We Are Wrestling. We're going to be a vendor. We're going to be working with Zombie Hideout and Captain's Corner with this event. Best One Donnie has had the opportunity to go to both the Wrestling Classic 1 and 2. And let me tell you, the Wrestling Classic 3 is going to be like no other. And if you want to, have an opportunity to meet some of the best in the business, they will be in Springfield, Mass on Saturday, June 17th. South End Community Center in Springfield, Mass. Also, the We Are Wrestling team will be there with a table. We'll be having merchandise, and we'll also be giving away some stuff as well. And of course, you already know, we'll be vlogging as well. You're definitely not going to want to miss this event. Get your tickets now. We're back, and our next topic that we're going to get into on the show here, over this past week, we've seen lots of new champions in the wrestling world, and we're going to go over each new champion, and we're going to give our thoughts on it. So I'm going to give all the names, and then we're going to go one by one. So here are the new champions from this week. So at Night of Champions, we crowned the new World Heavyweight Champion. Seth friggin' Rollins is the first champion. Then during Night of Champions, we saw Asuka defeat Bianca Belair's, 1-year title run, becoming the new, WWE Women's World Champion.
Fuck you, I told you. Anyways.
Then we go into, NXT Battleground, where they had to crown, a new NXT Women's Champion with the tournament, and Tiffany Stratton ended up winning the tournament and winning the title. Then on AEW Double or Nothing, Jade Cargill finally lost her first match, and she lost it to the returning Chris Statlander. So now she is the new TBS champion. Then, during the show, we also saw Jamie Hayter lose the AEW Women's Champion to Toni Storm. And last but not least, on Monday Night Raw, we had to crown new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler won the titles. What are your thoughts on all of these new champions in the wrestling landscape?
Okay, so one, Seth Rollins, brilliant. Gonna get that right off my chest. Don't really need to say much about it because obviously it's Seth fucking Rollins, long overdue. And if anybody can definitely carry the fucking torch for the first preliminary reign, Seth Rollins. One that I really want to kind of talk about, and it's probably going to be a shocker for you, but it's Jade Cargill's loss. That actually kind of pissed me off a little bit. Like I'm not like hating, but I don't really know who the fuck this chick is. And like it's not really I'm not really saying that trying to be insulting in any way. I don't really know her. I haven't really her name hasn't rung my bells anywhere, and I just usually whenever something big happens, I'm like, ooh, juicy. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's other people that could have done it, because I feel like Jade Cargill is, again, another wonder of the world, like Rhea Ripley, Chyna. I think Jade Cargill is built like a fucking tank. I'm a fan. So I feel like having just a return kind of cash in and do it, it was kind of out of the blue. I would have rathered like a really nice long-term thing, unless obviously there was one and I'm just not aware.
So here, I'll explain the background of it real quick. So with Jade Cargill, and I'm glad that we're talking about this because I love Jade Cargill's work. I definitely see a future world champion out of her. I think that, her improvement has, drastically, changed. I remember, her botched debut, didn't even know how to talk on the microphone or present herself. And now, she feels bigger than life on AEW, larger than life. And the one problem I had was the way that they booked her. because she went on to being, 60-0. And a lot of these matches that she was having defending the TBS championship was squash matches. And they just weren't really doing anything that made you jump off your seat with her. Like, it was just getting repetitive. Like, it was the same people going for the title. We knew what was going to happen. I will say at Double or Nothing, she defeated Taya Valkyrie and then issued an open challenge. I didn't like that concept to having Chris Statlander win the title, even though I was happy for her because
I would have
she
rather
is somebody
Taya.
that I had followed, in the independent circuit. But I don't know. I just didn't like the whole surprise thing of it.
Yeah, and again, I would have rathered Taya's debut wait a little longer. Like, I would have rathered fucking Statlander return and get fucking wiped, honestly. And then I would have had Taya Valkyrie debut and win. Because if you have seen Taya Valkyrie's fucking... If you have seen fucking Taya Valkyrie's, like, deathmatch type fucking work, dude, she should have fucking won that shit. I would have rather gone with Taya Valkyrie. 100%.
Well, the good news is they actually are teasing a feud where Taya Valkyrie will be Chris Statlander's first rivalry for the TBS champion.
And I hope
They
she
had
fucking wins it.
they had Taya Valkyrie looking at the TV screen while Chris Statlander fought Nyla Rose. But let me explain to you who Chris Statlander is.
Okay.
So the reason why you probably don't know her as well, because I know like you don't watch AEW, but you're still a casual fan. You'll go on the news feed. You'll still, pay attention to like big things that happen.
I'll even watch matches depending,
So with Chris Statlander, she's, one of, the homegrown AEW women talent. And she did get sidelined with 2 different injuries at 2 different times where she tore her ACL.
God damn.
And she mostly was a part of Best Friends with Trent, Chuck, Orange Cassidy. And before she got injured with her second ACL, during the TBS Championship tournament, I believe this was at like Grand Slam or like one of the big shows with like a bigger crowd than like a regular Dynamite episode.
Yeah.
The crowd was popping for her to beat Ruby Soho, and they didn't pull the audible during that match, and Ruby Soho won, and the crowd hated it because they wanted Chris Statlander to win. So, like, she does get a solid crowd reaction. In AEW, the AEW crowd, they're more diehard fans. So they knew who she was. And I think they did this because they wanted a fresh start with the TBS title, because with Jade Cargill, it was kind of getting a little old. And I see them now maybe trying to have her get into the world title picture rather than the mid-card title that she wasn't doing anything with.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend looking up Chris Statlander because she's very, very talented.
Okay. I'll take your word for it, man.
And she actually did come out of Create a Pro with MJF, Smart Mark Sterling, Max Caster, with that stacked class, too.
Good shit.
But honestly, like, I got to say, my thoughts on these new champions, I think it's definitely a great fresh start for, all these companies.
Yeah.
I think, Seth
shakes up the
Rollins
core a
being the
little
world
bit.
heavyweight champion. I knew WWE was going to give that man the championship.
Oh, dude, yeah.
With the way that he's over with that crowd right now, I knew for a fact that they weren't going to let some, role that he's doing with Captain America affect his world title run.
No. So, aside from the Seth Rollins match, I like that Toni Storm won the women's world title because I feel like I see a Saraya turn. I feel like I see some bigger shit happening within this trio. So I think that that's a brilliant idea, especially since all 3 of these women were WWE. I think it's kind of interesting there. I think it's another way to rejuvenate Saraya.
Oh my God, the
I
day
think
that the
it's-
Outcasts break up, Danny is going to be marking out. He can't wait for that day because he hates the Outcast. Hates it. Thinks
I
it's
dig-
an NWO ripoff.
I will say 100% too. I think so too as well. I will say too though, I like Ruby Soho more than Ruby Riott. 100%.
Oh, I love Soho.
The runaway.
But honestly, like, for me, with the Outcast, I've said this, I believe, in some of my reactions. I love Toni Storm as a heel. I love Ruby Soho as a heel. I think they've done a fantastic job with the Outcast. But Saraya is just lost. And that's why, like, I'm hoping eventually they, you know, split this group and they actually do have, you know, Saraya turn, you know, face somehow where Toni Storm and Ruby turn on Saraya, and then we can get, you know, Saraya back, like, as herself. Because I feel like she just hasn't really done anything crazy yet in AEW. And, you know, coming from, like, retirement, not wrestling for, like, almost 5 years to, like, having a random fucking heel turn, like, on just a random episode of Dynamite that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It hasn't done anything for her. But Toni Storm and Ruby Soho in their promos, they've made it make sense why they turned heel. And it makes total sense. And honestly, I love this new attitude with Toni Storm. And obviously, Jamie Hayter probably wouldn't have lost the title if she wasn't injured, but she had to, you know, get written off of TV.
Yeah.
But I do like Toni Storm as champion.
Yeah, it opens a lot of possibilities.
But one I definitely want to talk about. Fucking Asuka. Why?
I love how during our predictions, I was like, yeah, I could go for Asuka. And you're like, it's not going to happen. Boom.
The one time I wish I did predictions with fucking Danny. But then again, he probably would have said the same shit. So maybe I should have done it by myself.
Yeah, dude, when fucking it happened, I was just like, "Oh shit, look at that!" My first fucking reaction. If you watch the fucking the live stream back, I was just like, "Oh shit, I knew it." And I fucking first thing I did was text your ass. I was just like, "You fucking Asuka won, bitch."
I was so mad about that because I'm still behind Bianca Belair. I know why people aren't, because it's getting repetitive.
Well, it's not
I'm
even
still
just that.
so behind her.
It's not even just that, but they're going to be switching up for a heel turn soon, along with Street Profits. So
I don't want that to happen. I don't want her to be a heel.
Oh, you're one of those.
Don't fix something that's not broken.
No, you're one of those Wonder Bread ass motherfuckers that ain't open to change. Stop.
I am open to change.
Your bias is showing. Stop. Don't be a Denny.
But can I just say one thing about Asuka?
Yes, you can.
So I was talking to our good buddy Phil, and he actually gave me a solid reason why.
I love me some Phil.
This is a good move for Asuka to be champion.
Shout out to Phil.
And I'm sure you guys will hear that conversation very soon on the last episode of Old School versus New School, which comes out in a couple weeks. But yeah, with, you know, Asuka, I don't know. Like, I like the ending, the way they did it. Like, I'm not criticizing that at all. I just wish that Asuka had a mouthpiece. I wish that there's just something missing with her. Like, I loved her NXT run. It was so good. But, like, I don't know. There's just something missing with this new run for her. Like, she's a fantastic wrestler. I don't hate her. I just don't see the hype.
All I'm going to tell you, man, is let her cook. There's something more. There is something more, especially now with a title in her hands. Yeah, I will say she's a little bit more quietly unhinged now, but I honestly dig it. It's a little bit more of a spice for her. I feel like it's going to open up the doorway to more of that old school Asuka, because they're going to allow her to be a little bit more creative and not have to talk as much, which is great.
That's one thing that I think Triple H will do good with.
Dude, he's gonna book her like a fucking tank, 100%. I can guarantee that, man. I tell you, that title is in safe hands. And as for Bianca and her heel turn, dude, again, let her cook, man, because she got an attitude, and I feel like with that right attitude shift in a heel direction, harnessed by Triple H himself, it's a done deal, man. So I think just keep an open mind. That's the thing,
regardless if Bianca turns heel or turns face, she's always going to be one of my favorites, regardless.
Yeah. She's talented.
I think that she's a huge star. One of my top 3 right now in WWE. Probably my favorite in WWE, if I'm being honest. But here's the thing with, you know, Bianca, the reason why I think I don't want this change to happen, it's not because I'm not open to change. It's because I've always said this, don't fix something that's not broken. And with these regular shows, Monday Night Raw and, Friday Night SmackDown, we always see the casual fans. The premier live events, that's where we see all the hardcore fans come out. And Bianca Belair, she fits that role as like the top baby face in WWE perfect. She, is a role model to kids. They look up to her. She does all the media press. She does all the interviews, all the podcasts. She goes out of her way, to, be like the face, to be the leader, to put in the extra hours. And that's very hard to find in, a top baby face in 2023 in any pro wrestling company.
I'm glad that you're looking at the marketing side. That's very good. But nicely, in the nicest way possible.
I'm
gonna
wrong.
look you. I'm gonna look you in the eyes right now. It's not. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying that you're wrong. You made all very valid points. But I'm gonna look you in the eyes when I tell you this. I don't give a fuck. She needs this. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
The most serious way. I'm gonna look you in the eyes, and then you just say,
like,
"I don't give a fuck."
Praise
just turn her heel
but
on her
I
head.
don't give a fuck. Like literally, the whole I respect the grind.
That's great.
I respect the hustle. No, dude, no. Come in closer. So I don't give a fuck.
What are
The
we fucking
EST
Renee
thing-
Dupree right now?
So I just gotta tell you real quick. I don't give a fuck. 100%. Let her cook. Let her turn heel. The EST thing has been dragged out since she's fucking shown up. I need something new. Bianca is so talented. I just don't want to see the fans turn on her for being the next John Cena 2.0. That's all.
And I understand it from your side.
I don't want to see another talented individual get hated by the fucking fans because they're getting the face pushed down our fucking throats. So I want to see growth in all aspects because I think that's what molds the perfect superstar, is one that can pull off both. Look at fucking Edge. Look at Cena. Look at Orton. Like Triple H. Like they could do both, and they're all Hall of Famers. Some not officially yet, but they're all Hall of Famers, and they could slay both. And that is what makes you a perfect, tarnished Hall of Fame WWE superstar. Not tarnished, fucking built WWE superstar and established.
All right. Well, speaking
That's my
of,
point. That's all.
Well, I have a great way to get into our next topic. Speaking
go.
of tarnishing wrestling here.
Oh, shit.
Billy Corgan takes shots at wrestling fans when asked about Tyrus, former WWE superstar Brodus Clay's heat as NWA World Champion. So, in this recent podcast, he stated, and I quote, "I think if people bring those things into the realm of wrestling and it changes their willingness to watch, that's not a customer that I am catering to. I grew up in a time of old school heat. Old school heat was the Polish guy told the German guy using World War II references that he is going to beat him up. Very politically incorrect. When Tyrus walks through the door, he brings the heat. And if you're not going to watch him, then you're not a wrestling fan. I'm not booking a charity. I'm booking a professional wrestling company. How do you feel about the NWA president, the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkin, Billy Corgan, telling us fans that we're not wrestling fans if we don't support the Funkasaurus?"
All right.
I can't even say it straight. I can't even say it with a straight face.
So I'm going to tap into my reactor side. I'm going to tap into the actual Lone Ranger. As a musical icon, I feel like that's his realm. I feel like, obviously him and Nirvana were neck and neck for the kings of the fucking grunge era in the early 90s. They are prolific. Billy Corgan himself is very prolific. Controversial, yes, but prolific as fuck. Now, I don't know why. See, this is Billy Corgan. And I think you're going to tell me that I nailed this on the head. Is like a failed Tony Khan. He was a massive wrestling fan that went professional, but kind of failed because this era of NWA isn't exciting. It's not. Like, I love Billy Corgan. Don't get me wrong. I think he's talented. I think he's phenomenal. But I don't want to, sugarcoat it and say that he's right because that's just belligerent as fuck to say. I think that it's, just because it feels kind of like a sad and almost crass way of saying, hey man, my company's really not doing good. I need viewers. So I'm going to say the most angry thing possible to stir the pot so people watch this shit and be like, oh, what the fuck is this shit? But at least they still gave me a view. I that's what it feels like. And I hate it because, again, I love Billy Corgan, but that is belligerent to say.
Yeah, even their NWA
He-
women's champion that's been champion now for, I believe, over a year now. She even said that she feels like his take on this is completely wrong and incorrect.
So he is somebody that is hanging on the coattails of that video that fucking he did with, I think it was Chris Van Vliet, Brodus Clay, fucking Titus, where he was talking about Dusty Rhodes and how he was like bitching and moaning that Vince was gonna make him dance and shit, and that he had to make dancing cool like Dusty was because he feels like he was better than him. So like I feel like he's hanging on the coattails of that because I will say Brodus Clay really did slay the Funkasaurus. Like I thought it was kind of cool.
I loved it. He reminded me of Rakishi around that time.
It was like a mixture of Rakishi and Dusty Rhodes in that perspective, and I fucked with it. I felt like, and Dude Love for sure. Like I just those characters, they were talented as fuck. They were great athletes. Half of them are shit. All of them are Hall of Famers. So it's like, dude, take a silly concept, nail it, and I feel like he did that. But to say that if you don't watch Titus compete, you're not a wrestling fan is belligerent.
Yeah, Tyrus. Well, here's what I can say. And the reason why he was so over in WWE with this, silly gimmick was because that silly gimmick, it covered his mid in-ring skills. And they even tried having him as a monster at one point. They tried doing that, the typical monster thing. I believe he was with Alberto Del Rio for a little bit, and it didn't work. No reactions, nothing. So then he had to go back to the drawing board. And the Funkasaurus thing was over. And I can even say around that time, I think he could have made a great Intercontinental United States champion and been, a solid, maybe a future Hall of Famer as, a mid-card star. We've seen it, through the years in pro wrestling. But when it comes down to it, man, Billy Corgan, he's fantastic in the music field. Fantastic.
Yep.
Has a brilliant mind. And I love that he's giving, opportunities and giving jobs to people with NWA. But here's where my issue stands. Billy Corgan, NWA Power, when it first came out, had so much excitement to it. And, it just felt, it was so different and so cool. But then, I feel like as soon as Nick Aldis, that whole situation happened with Nick Aldis and, NWA, that's when, I feel like Billy Corgan is just now just caught up, in just his own world right now. And he's not thinking about us fans. He's thinking more about himself. And I think that's why, the in NWA, the booking decisions are freaking dog shit.
Oh
Complete dog shit.
He said dog doo-doo.
And that's the thing with Tyrus. They're trying to push him, whatever. And he's just not over. And he's just mid in the ring. The only reason why Billy Corgan has fucking Tyrus as the world champion is because he's on Fox. That's the truth. Because Billy Corgan can't get himself a fucking television deal in 2023. He's not even freaking on YouTube anymore with these shows. And he's trying to be relevant. So the only way he can be relevant is if Tyrus holds the 10 pounds of gold on Fox Sports. It's pathetic. You keep Tyrus over Nick Aldis. That to me is just friggin' mind blowing.
Yeah, man.
Pisses me off.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say and end this topic with Billy. Music is the platform to be controversial. Not this. Not this. We saw how the shit ended with yeah.
Yeah, not this, because in pro
Not this.
wrestling, I'm surprised he doesn't know this because it's been, I think, about 10 years now that he's been doing stuff in wrestling. Us wrestling fans in the IWC, the Maniacs, we are fucking cuckoo. And we don't take this shit nicely. When you say, oh, you're not a wrestling fan. Everybody is entitled to their opinion as a wrestling fan. If you enjoy somebody, you enjoy somebody. If you don't enjoy somebody, you don't enjoy somebody. And Ben, Danny, and I on the We Are Wrestling podcast, we call it like it is. We all have our thoughts. We all have our opinions. Some we agree on. Others we disagree on. But that doesn't mean Danny doesn't know friggin' wrestling. That doesn't mean Ben doesn't know wrestling, even if I can't stand their fucking opinions. That's the thing. Like, we all have different opinions, and that's okay as pro wrestling fans. And for Billy Corgan to continue to try to get Tyrus over when nobody freaking cares about the guy, like, just face it. That was one of your bad booking decisions in NWA. So, fuck you, Ben. And Billy Corgan, it's okay if something doesn't work. That's how it is in pro wrestling. That's how it is as a booker.
It's cold out here,
Things
bro.
are not always going to work out. Vince McMahon, he's far from fucking perfect, and he's running a multi-billion-dollar fucking company.
Well, trust, we know Vince McMahon is far from perfect. The 90s was his time. That is when his opinion fucking mattered because he didn't have to hold many punches. Now he has to, and he has no idea how. So, with also going down mentality.
I just feel like with Billy Corgan, like, I'm noticing a pattern here with all these reports that come out with him. It's like, I feel like he doesn't think his shit stinks. And that's like the problem that I have here with the NWA, because like at first I believed in his vision. Like, when somebody has,
God,
if like there's differences of a creative and somebody's under contract with the NWA, Billy Corgan will let them go because he doesn't have anything for them, or they just don't agree with his vision. But when it comes to like all these other decisions, like when something doesn't stick, Billy Corgan, it seems like he always goes on these podcasts and radio shows and tries to like defend his booking decision.
Bro, I'm sorry. I hear everything that you just said. I took everything you just said, but I cannot believe that you just successfully and passively just put in he acts like his shit don't stink and just kept rolling the ball was impressive, because I broke, bro. I almost choked on my fucking monster.
You almost made me broke from that.
Dude, oh my God, sorry, but I just had to give you that fucking shout out for that, because that almost broke me.
Well, when you continue to push a Funkasaurus as like the face of a promotion, yeah, your shit stinks.
Oh my God.
And that's why you can't even hit 100,000 viewers.
Oh.
And I don't even know how I don't even know, like, even if they're even filling up their studios that they do their shows in either these days.
My God.
But guys, we'll be right back with more We Are Wrestling Podcast 59 before I say more crazy shit.
Action.
What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs. I'm better than Ben. I'm better than Danny. You know the usual. The thousands of subscribers. Dude, it's recording, bro. Oh, it's recording. Okay. 3, 2, 1. What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, the best one, Donnie, and you're listening to the We Are Wrestling Talk Show. Fuck the Lone Ranger and fuck Danny Huckins, because you're here to listen to the best one, Donnie, on the We Are Wrestling Talk Show. The host with the most, baby. Woo!
We're back. And our next topic on this week's episode of We Are Wrestling Podcast 59, one of the most popular guys right now in all of sports, Pat McAfee. He recently made some claims about fan attendance at the recent AEW Double or Nothing. So in this podcast, Pat McAfee stated, and I quote, "Anytime you get a shot from hard cam, you could really see a lot of things. AEW found that out this weekend at one of their events. Like 3/4 of the arena completely empty. They don't want that photo out anywhere." What are your thoughts on Pat McAfee's latest comments about AEW? Because there's a lot of fans that are, coming out now defending AEW and saying that these claims are false, because if you go back and see the pictures for NXT Battleground, a lot of the seats all over that arena are empty.
Okay. Yeah, we discussed this a little bit before the cameras turned on. Well, he kind of makes a point, but at the same time, NXT is NXT, and we already know how that plays, especially with this version of NXT. It's not popular, we'll address the elephant in the room. It's not that popular. Like, do they have some good stars there? Yeah. I feel like Mustafa Ali and Baron Corbin, not only to, improve their craft, but I feel like they were put there to kind of elevate, hopefully, some ratings, because it's really not that watched, especially nowadays. So to see that it's a little bit more on the emptier side, I get it, but it was definitely more full, it feels like, at Battleground, because it's WWE, let's face it.
Well, they are smart too. They black out like the spots that are empty too, so you don't really notice it on camera.
For sure. And I feel like that's where AEW is massively flawed, where I dig that everything is very open, everything is very, like, all the lights are on. I dig that. But you're also burying yourself at that same point, because again, hard cam area or not, there was a lot of open space that could have been filled that was not. And there was some people sitting in sporadic spots, which means those seats were open for sale, but weren't. So, and it was very, very open. So I get what he's saying, because they're kind of exposing themselves. And I also noticed that AEW does shoot very low comparatively to WWE, where it's a lot higher. You can see more of the crowd. So it does come to think, what are their live events really like? I mean, you could definitely preach for it because you've been there. You've seen a live event. But then again,
and I'll speak on both promotions with how it is from my experience.
Same here. I will say, there are also, you also have to look at it geographically. If you hold a pay-per-view at a certain place, there may not be that many AEW wrestling fans in that area. So that could also come to play as to why the house isn't as full as it is. And it also depends on the card as well and how the storylines are going. So you have to look at all of those perspectives as well on top of it. Boston was fucking nuts. Survivor Series was fucking nuts. That was a packed ass fucking house. Like, there was like no empty seat in sight except for behind the goddamn Titantron and the hard cam area. Other than that, fucking packed, bro. TD was filled that night, and it was a good show. Lit, motherfucker. But I will say 100%, McAfee has a point, but I can also see where you're coming from as well. But we'll also hear more of your thoughts.
So, from my experience here, going to both, WWE shows and AEW shows the past couple of years, I gotta say, like, this is every arena. There's always that empty spot. And AEW, they have, been in this arena, MGM, Grand, for, most of their Double or Nothing pay-per-views in May. And this year, I believe the reports came out that they sold, I think, 8,000 out of, 12,000 seats for this show that were on sale. And it really wasn't a popular one because, previously, at, the last time that they went there, the last few times, they sold out completely. Mm-hmm. And you have to think about the build here, and with AEW Double or Nothing, even myself, I wasn't as excited for this pay-per-view as I normally am for an AEW show because it felt lackluster. Because right now, AEW has a lot of big things going on in their promotion that they're more focused on than AEW Double or Nothing. They just, they just announced the whole Wembley Stadium thing for All In.
That's
where their
huge.
mind's at right now.
Oh, absolutely. They're getting prepared for that. So a lot of, the writers, creative and shit is like cooking over that rather than
AEW Fight Forever video game that comes out at the end of June. They're
getting ready to
focusing on that
stuff. Yeah.
AEW Collision, a new 2-hour live television show on Saturdays on, starting June 17th when we're at the Wrestling Classic 3.
And it's going to be
so they have a lot of things going on.
It's going to be great too because it's streaming on Max, right?
Huh?
It's going to be streaming on Max too, right?
Could be potentially. I don't think they've gotten details about that.
If it is, I'll definitely be watching that shit every fucking Saturday because I'm off, motherfuckers. So if anything, I'll be doing watch-alongs with Danny for those Saturdays. Hey.
So here's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
They weren't really focusing on AEW Double or Nothing. They kind of put it on the back burner. Tony Khan and AEW thought that, well, with all the pay-per-views and all like the buys that we get, we're going to have no problem selling this place out. And then there's reports even coming out that there's this hamburger place in Las Vegas, and if you got a hamburger, you got a free ticket to AEW Double or Nothing. So that kind of, doesn't help the case either.
Yeah, nah.
But my problem here with Pat McAfee's comments, because the guy has a great mind for this business. I will not take that away from him. But I am going to say this. You can't be speaking about AEW when WWE is still not filling up, those seats. I understand it's NXT. I totally understand that. But even Raw, even SmackDown, they still have those empty seats. We're not getting sold out shows like we once did. And this is everywhere in pro wrestling right now. And right now, I will say WWE, when it comes to the Premier Live events, they are selling out. And even some house shows, WWE is selling out.
Uh-huh.
But there is still, some regular Raws and some regular SmackDowns where they're not selling out. And AEW, is still struggling to do that as well. I think that we still have a solid fan base
still on the rise,
at
bro.
these shows. And all I care about when it comes to the attendance, my only thing I care about is I want the fans to be on their feet. I want them to be electric. If you're paying friggin' money to go to these shows, get the fuck off your seat and friggin' make some noise. Make the television show good.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, with Pat McAfee, I kind of understand like the comments that he's making, but NXT did have a lot of empty seats at, Battleground. And from like what I know, Double or Nothing did have more people than NXT, but then at the same time, you can't really compare the two because NXT now is a developmental company. Exactly. But when WWE is trying to go into big venues like that in Lowell, then like you also have to consider that. But yeah, I don't know.
Again,
like all wrestling right now,
geographically,
I'm getting sick of all these freaking wrestling fans, these toxic wrestling fans posting these pictures of the freaking empty crowds. Who gives a fuck?
Oh my god.
Who gives a fuck? Do you care?
Not really.
I don't care either. But us, as wrestling podcasters, we have to cover this shit. And for me, I feel like I just wasted 10 minutes covering this shit. I don't care about empty seats. I care about the product. I care about the outcome. I was still watching it when WWE was in the Thunderdome. And I was still watching AEW when they're at Daly's Place. Even though, yes, the shows are a lot better with, a full live crowd. But who gives a fuck? Half the time when they're taking these photos, it's like an hour before the show's even starting. So there's people outside the freaking arena, still getting their popcorn, getting their cotton candy, getting their souvenirs, getting their freaking wrestling cups and merchandise.
Jerking off in the fucking bathroom. Yeah, no, I got you.
So like, I hate these pictures when they surface. I hate when these people in the IWC, they just think they know what they're talking about, but they don't. And that's why, for me, like, I don't like the comments Pat made, because now, like, he's encouraging more fans to freaking take these stupid photos, making our job even more annoying and more hard. Because who wants to cover friggin' empty seats?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, speaking of more negative shit, moving on to our last topic before we get into our main event. And this one's an AEW one.
This one you'll be taking the lead on.
I will be. And I will be leading you the right direction. So, there are reports that Ricky Starks hates the term pillar. In case you guys don't know, in AEW, they have this thing called the Four Pillars, where it consists of Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, and MJF. And they call them the Four Pillars of AEW because, they're four homegrown talent in the promotion, and it's just something they've been pushing. So during a recent interview with the Corner podcast, Starks explained why he doesn't like the term. He said this, and I quote, "I actually hate the idea of pillars. I loathe the idea of a pillar because, one, it's a full gimmick and it came from one guy. There's nothing behind it. To say that these four dudes are the pillars of the company, do you know what you're doing by saying that? F everybody else who did anything. Those people don't matter. If these three guys that we deemed to do, fuck. All right, well, fuck that. Everybody else who did anything don't matter. If these three guys who you're saying basically, are the pillars, I don't believe in that. It's a very sweet gesture to say to Ricky should be considered a fifth pillar. Baby, I don't need to be a pillar, okay? I could be the foundation. I could be the roof. I could be the person outside maintaining the lawn. I don't need none of that because to me, that's a box within itself." Starks then asked everyone to look at the quarter-hour ratings for the pillars. Starks said, "To say that these four guys are the ones that are going to make or break it, let's see the numbers. Y'all want to talk about the ratings? Let's see the ratings for y'all, huh? Let's see how much money y'all make if y'all want to keep bringing up all this BS. Let's see it, pen to paper. How are the quarterly hours doing when y'all are on TV? Let's see it." Starks continues by saying if he doesn't want to be part in that conversation about pillars and that he's fine with not being labeled as such. He said, "I don't even like the conversation. I don't want to be included. Keep me away from that. I don't want that. I don't want to be considered a pillar. This ain't All Japan. I bet. I tell Max to his face, you don't know nothing about All Japan." So, yeah, Ricky Starks, pretty much made his point clear that he doesn't like the term pillar. How do you feel about these latest comments that he made on the Corner podcast?
As much as I love Ricky Starks, if you want my bluntest, do you want me to go blunt or do you want me to sugarcoat it?
No, don't sugarcoat it. This is the podcast.
It sounds like some crybaby boohoo ass bullshit. Like I get it, man. Like I get where it could set. Like I could see where it would frustrate somebody, I guess, if you have soft skin. But it's true. They are four homegrown and successfully pushed talent that have had some compelling storylines in each and every single one of those people, especially MJF right now. They rightfully deserve that term and to be pushed in that term because it's something that's always going to be remembered. It's like a Mount Rushmore piece almost. It's art, It's like you can't have something nice without somebody absolutely obliterating it unless it's a work, I think that it doesn't really need to be this serious, I guess. Especially if you know you're talented, just move on, bro. Like I don't think it's something that needs to be blown up in an interview over because that's just how you bring locker room morale down, especially if it's not a work. I don't know, man. I don't understand it,
Yeah, so
I don't know.
I think Ricky Starks probably it just, has been building up. It seems like he's been frustrated with, a lot of people considering him the fifth pillar. And Ricky Starks has always been a guy that, has always, worked for what he's got. And, for him, I feel like he's thinking about it from the locker room side of it because he's probably speaking out for a lot of guys that probably feel this way. And Ricky Starks has more of a saying than, a random guy like maybe like a Brock Anderson or, you know, Brian Pillman Jr. So, like, I feel like Ricky Starks, you know, it's probably a locker room thing, and he probably just went on this interview and just said, fuck it. But
I get it.
My thoughts, you know, on the whole Ricky thing, the way it's coming off definitely seems jealous that he's not in the position that MJF is in, that Darby Allin is in, that Jungle Boy is in, that Sammy Guevara is in. And I feel like, you know, this 4-pillar term has been used, you know, since day one.
Earning your strikes, homie.
With, you know, all 4 of them. And they first started in AEW. That's where, you know, they got their big break. But Ricky Starks, you know, came in around 2020. That's a year after, you know, AEW, you know, opened the doors.
Yeah, and that's when there was a lot of massive hirings going on because there was massive firings going on in fucking WWE. So they were pushing a lot of other people because people
and
were
NWA shut
like
down where Ricky Starks was working.
That's what I'm saying. So like you gotta think about it, bro. You know, you gotta fucking really think about it.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like, you know,
he got lost in an unfortunate time shuffle.
And I think with Ricky, I think his problem, it's definitely more than this. And I think that I've been doing a lot of research on the guys that are frustrated in AEW, and I feel like deep down, Ricky Starks is not happy in the position that he's in with AEW. I feel like they've always misused him, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. When his AEW contract expires, I will not be surprised to see him on WWE.
Because he would kill it. He could fit there.
He's a Cody Rhodes guy. He even went on a podcast and even said, to this day, he still takes advice from Cody Rhodes because Cody Rhodes will watch his stuff and he will, you know, critique it. And, you know, that's the person he goes to because he feels the most comfortable.
Yeah.
And Cody Rhodes is the guy that, you know, brought Ricky Starks into AEW. And we're noticing this here. It's going to be a domino effect within the next, you know, 3 to 5 years in AEW.
Hey, the bidding war of 2024,
we're going to see Cody Rhodes guys transition from AEW to WWE. And as much as I love MJF, in 2024, I'm afraid that he's going to go to WWE because the person that brought him to AEW was actually Cody Rhodes because he's seen his work in the independents and around the Northeast area. And Cody Rhodes was very impressed with his work and took him under his wing.
Yep.
So we're really going to see this transition. We're going to see Ricky Starks move on. I think we're going to see QT Marshall eventually come over to WWE. And I just think that Ricky Starks is just upset with the position that he's in. He probably feels like he deserves to be in that, you know, spotlight rather than a Sammy Guevara or a Darby Allin or a Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
And I can understand it because a lot of people, you know, even say with the 4 pillars that Jungle Boy is the weakest one in there. And a lot of guys that, you know, make their 4-pillar list, they replace Jungle Boy with Ricky Starks. And, you know, a lot of fans tell Ricky, oh, like, you should be the 5th pillar. Like, you should be in there. And Ricky's probably just fed up with it, and he just doesn't care.
I get it.
Yeah, no, I get it too, but I think that, you know, he's going to move on, from AEW if they don't really come up with anything for him. Because all he's really done is he was the FTW champion that no one cares about.
The promo work against MJF was fire. That's it.
His feud with MJF was great. And he's just been in really mid-card feuds. Like, nothing that's, like, made you jump off your seat. And we know the talent's there. He's just not reaching his full potential. And a lot of that has to do with bad booking, I think.
Yeah.
But, guys, we'll be right back with more. We are Wrestling 59, and we're going to get into CM Punk shortly. One thing We Are Wrestling recommends you to do is support your local independent promotions. They are the stars of tomorrow. And you never know. Sometimes when you go to these shows that might only have 10 to 30 people, you could be seeing the next future WWE champion. Maybe even the next AEW star. And through the years, I've always been a huge advocate to supporting independent wrestling. And you can't go wrong. It's a cheap night out, you get a good time with the family, and you get to watch some good old wrestling. Independent wrestling that's where usually a young professional wrestler starts their career. And having these opportunities to perform in front of crowds is a great way to get exposure to where they will eventually be on your television screen watching them every week. We recommend you guys to support indie wrestling. Before we dive into the main event topic for We Are Wrestling 59, every week on the We Are Wrestling podcast, we do a new segment called Comment of the Week, where we pick certain comments from, our YouTube channel. And to enter this, all you have to do is just comment on a random video. And this week, my God, We Are Wrestling, man. We had a lot of hot comments that I couldn't pick one. I couldn't pick two. We got 3 comments that we're going to showcase on here. We're going to try to keep this short and sweet so that we can dive into the main event topic. And the first one is from @MyMyKA2982. And this was during the Hot Takes episode of Ryback Going Out Sad. And they said this, and I quote, "Wow, you can tell how much Ryback has fallen from grace because you're the only wrestling mark that is reporting this crap."
Wow. But you watched it. But you watched it, homie. So thank you for the comment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the view. It helps the analytics. Honey.
I don't know if this person was trying to be a troll or just being honest, but
Hey,
I gotta say, this was a brilliant comment. This was a brilliant one because telling me that I'm the only wrestling mark covering Ryback, I thought that was kind of funny.
Hey, fuck it.
So congratulations to MyKA2982 for that one, because that Ryback video is getting a lot of views, and Hot Takes usually averages about like 100, 200 views. So for it to be at 500 while we're recording this, pretty shocked by that. But our next comment of the week we have @MA Johnson 255839. So many freaking numbers. I don't know if that's his telephone number, but he commented this, and I quote, and I believe this was during one of the Roman Reigns. This was during one of the Roman Reigns reactions to when Jimmy did the super kick to him. I don't know if it was you and Danny's reaction or if it was mine, but he said this, and I quote, "Honestly, they need to do something because it's getting embarrassing watching them take Roman's abuse and not doing a damn thing about it." Actually, this comment was on SmackDown before Jimmy did the super kick to Roman.
Well, there you go, homie. Short and sweet. You got your wish. We all did.
That's right. He had a fairy godparent right there. He had a fairy godparent, and he wished for something to happen. Poof! It happened.
God was shining on you there, boy. Now he's gonna touch your penis.
Sorry.
Yeah, honestly, I had to agree with that. It was getting a little repetitive for a while, and I was really hoping at, Night of Champions something was going to happen because I want the bloodline.
Oh, dude,
I want them to take that next step with Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns, and I feel like if you're going to elevate Solo Sikoa, you need to move on from the Usos.
Bro. The moment they fucking were like, oh, fucking Solo and Roman are taking the titles, I knew shit was gonna pop off because I was like, no, the fuck they ain't. Roman's fucking whatever, but Solo about to take that pin, and we all know why. So, yeah, no.
And it just adds so much more elements to the story that is definitely going to make it very interesting this summer.
Yep.
But now, our last comment of the week, our third one of our loyal We Are Wrestling Maniacs. I always see his comments on all the reaction videos and most of the videos here.
Oh, God.
At Hitman 6945.
I thought it was Alex Johnson.
He commented this on my reaction at Night of Champions to Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
And he said this. One thing I noticed in this match between the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar is they didn't use any weapons. Yes, I know that Cody used the cast, but that's Brock's fault. He broke Cody's arm. So turnaround is fair game. He kept this a wrestling match, and it was a good one.
It was. It was a phenomenal match. And, Yeah, man, good observation. And like I said, in I think it was our predictions. It was another Undertaker scenario. Same way it happened. Like I said, go back and watch that footage from '03 when they feud. You know, Brock did the same fucking thing to Taker, and I was getting those same vibes, which was nice to have that recreation and like a little bit of spice. So, yeah, it was a really good match all around. There was some really good spots, like the failed submissions to the point where Cody finally passed out was awesome. It was a classic, 100%. And I'm glad that, the likes of Brock Lesnar is super open to working the series with Cody Rhodes, of all people, who has had a massive blow up, as we all know. So, yeah, good observation, man.
Honestly, Hitman, I really enjoyed this match with Cody and Brock. I know it wasn't anything spectacular, but the most important thing happened during this match, and it's furthering the storyline. The storytelling is A1. Going from WrestleMania to Backlash, it was very lackluster. But after, Cody, pretty much gave color to Brock, that's what made this feud even more interesting to watch. Seeing, the whole Monday Night Raw built around Cody's arm getting broken, kayfabe, I think, really made the rivalry even more interesting. It shows Cody's will, his hard work, and going in there, fighting Brock Lesnar with the broken arm. I think it's just great storytelling, him passing out and then going on Raw, delivering that fantastic promo. I really hope, though, that they find a way to wait for Brock versus Cody at SummerSlam. I don't want them to rush into Money in the Bank. Let's sell this broken arm for now. I think maybe put Brock Lesnar, in a match with somebody else at Money in the Bank, or have him in the Money in the Bank ladder match.
And have Cody.
And then maybe have Cody, while Brock, decimates everybody in the beginning of the match. Have him go up to the ladder. You can have all the fans all shocked. Like, oh, here we go again. Another Brock Lesnar push. Cody comes out, pushes him off the ladder, beats the shit out of him, and then you can just write Brock off out of the match.
Yeah.
Right in the beginning. And then that could lead to SummerSlam, and we can have, a big stipulation match. Like a Hell in the Cell, or like a 3 Stages of Hell, or like an I Quit match.
We'll get there when we get there.
But honestly, man, congratulations, Hitman, on the comment of the week there. I really enjoyed the whole match there with Cody and Brock. It was perfect storytelling. But yeah, if you guys want to get a YouTube comment of the week on the podcast, all you have to do is go to our YouTube channel, We Are Wrestling, and comment on any video. That's how you enter. We prefer that you guys, comment from, Saturday when this is uploaded to when we record, which is either on Wednesdays or Thursdays. That's the best chance you can win. But congratulations to the 3 We Are Wrestling Maniacs on Comment of the Week. Now, with that being said, let's get into the main event topic for We Are Wrestling 59. And of course, it's about the best in the world, CM Punk, because at AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, Tony Khan came out and made another huge, big announcement that CM Punk will be on the first episode of Collision that will be taking place in the United Center in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
How do you feel about them making this big announcement that CM Punk is officially back?
So it shouldn't have been announced, because we're in a world of just fucking spoilers. I feel like it's fucking stupid. I feel like that's just a dumb fucking choice by a dumb fucking person. You don't want to announce shit like that. You want that fucking pop. You want that big fucking rating. And I think it was stupid to fucking announce it. Like, we knew he was coming back, but man, just let it fucking cook. Don't just spoil something that could have been fucking great, which we knew he was gonna, but the pop would have been so fucking worth it. Like, it just feels like a cop out to gain more fucking audience and to gain more fucking ticket sales. And I hate it. Like, I love that he's coming back, 100%. I love that we're going to get some furthering fucking CM Punk shit. But I don't care for the fact that they announced it. I hate it. That's my thoughts.
That's how I feel about this. I was very disappointed in this announcement. I'm getting sick of this on Dynamite. This is now the 3rd week that we had Tony Khan do a 50-second promo about Collision. And we're not even getting any friggin' details out of anything, really. The first one, okay, that was cool. But then we get into the second one. It's like, oh, we're going to make the announcement of where the first episode of Collision's going to be. Who gives a fuck? And then now we get on to week 3. they announced CM Punk, and it's like, come on.
Yep.
Everybody is anticipating this return. Everybody's excited for this return. And out of all the things that you could have done a video package to hype up the return, like they do sometimes. Remember when Shelton Benjamin made his return to WWE the second time around, even though his run's been lackluster? Remember those video packages on how good they were?
Yeah.
Showing a lot of his old clips and, putting together a nice montage.
Or even
they
just
could have done that for
teases,
CM
bro.
Punk.
You didn't even have to fucking drop.
You could
a
have
ball.
surprised him.
Yeah.
There were so many other ways of doing it, and I hated the fact that Tony Khan did it from a stupid little announcement. There's no money being made from that. There's no payoff for that. And I don't know. I know why they're doing it, because the ticket sales right now for Collision are not doing so well. So they are trying to probably get, tickets, because now they're using CM Punk's face now on all the upcoming Collision shows. CM Punk's going to be here. Get your tickets now.
Yep.
And I understand the marketing side of it, but come on, you can't take away the surprises. Honestly, what they should have done with CM Punk, because we all knew that he's going to come back at Collision, why not hit a swerve? Why not swerve all of us fans and have him show up at a random episode of Dynamite or something?
Yeah.
That would have been even more insane, because nobody would have expected CM Punk to show up on a random episode of Dynamite. But then they just, they ruined it. They friggin' ruined it with a stupid announcement.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm getting very fed up with a lot of the things AEW is doing. And yeah, WWE is getting a lot better than AEW now, which, yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. You can bask in your glory. You can have that nice smile on your face about that, because I know you are WWE for life.
I don't care about the race, man. I don't. I really don't give a fuck. Whoever's thriving is thriving. If they're not, they're either low, they'll come up, whatever. I don't give a fuck about that race. To the point blank, I think this move was fucking stupid. That's all.
Yeah, I think they was stupid as well.
Because what you would have done is let it potentially flop, but then once CM Punk shows up, it's going to give people something to look forward to for the next episode. So, yeah, no, it was stupid.
There's so many ways that they could have done this, and
let it cook. The money follows, bro.
Yep. And
you just fucking ruined a surprise.
And I'm not going to lie to you, man. Speaking of Collision, I'm very fucking nervous for this show.
Why?
I just, because Rampage was supposed to be their second show, and look what happened to it.
It's fucking crumbling, just like Dark.
Well, Dark's gone.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. I'm just, I know AEW Dynamite's still successful, but I'm just nervous, another B show is going to come, and it's not going to do well. And that's the part that, scares me. I hope that Collision has a different set. I hope Collision has a different, style to the show. I hope that it's different from Dynamite.
Yeah.
And I hope that it stands out. Because the reason why, WWE has Raw and SmackDown is because both of those brands are completely different and they both stand out on their own. And with AEW doing two brands, that's the part that scares me. Because with Dynamite, they just, sometimes the shows are very lackluster. And they have so much talent that aren't being utilized. And what's an extra 2 hours going to do realistically for somebody? With a booker that's very mediocre at best. Yeah. But I think that's the best way to end this week's episode of the podcast. What do you say?
Yes, sir.
So to the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there, let us know in the comment section below your thoughts on all the topics that Ben and I covered on We Are Wrestling 59. If you're listening to this podcast, please give us a 5-star review and follow us so that you can get the latest, audio episodes of the podcast. But if you guys enjoyed this week's episode of the We Are Wrestling podcast, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. Thank you for 4,000 subscribers. We're on the road to 5K now. The link's down in the description below. You can go follow Ben and I on our social medias and other YouTube pages, all that down below. In addition, you want shorter clips of the podcast, Go follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All the links down below. And of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Peace.